something non-human is here on this planet. Now, you could call it aliens, you could call it Anunnaki, you could call it a future version of ourselves. There is something non-human on this planet. And according to one of the scientists that we're going to talk about today, it is quite possible that Earth doesn't even belong to us. We're fighting over Earth. It's quite possible that Earth belongs to another set of entities, not us. It's quite possible. And the Bible already told us everything about this. The Bible already told us about non human intelligences if we knew how to read the Bible. And if we read the Bible not the way church taught us to read the Bible, if we read the Bible for what it actually says, no filters, no mistranslations, it's plain as day. That's what we're talking about in this episode of The Real God Is Not in the Bible. The Bible's not about God. The Bible's not about God. The church told us that. They lied. They either lied or they didn't know. Either one is a-okay. I love the Bible. The Bible is an amazing collection of books. It is a collection of books. I love the Bible. And I love it even more now that I know it's not from God. Love the Bible. Love it. All right, welcome. If you're brand new to the channel, I am Reverend Valerie Love. They call me the soul divine midwife of soul destiny. I am the author of 26 books on practical spirituality, Christian witchcraft, including the Christian witchcraft starter kit and books on magic and the occult. You can pick them up at valerielove.com/books. Now, let's talk about these non-human entities. Let's talk about these non-human entities. Discerning spirituality, you became a member. Yay! Welcome to the fam. Welcome to the fam. I love you, and I am so happy to be back because I spent the summer with my beautiful grandkids. I posted a couple of pictures. I was like, woo, family, we're not going to have the live stream. We had to have a couple of weeks pause on the live stream while I had an incredible summer with my grandchildren. I returned them home. Three of my grandchildren. I didn't have all of them. I had three of them. 8, 10, and 12. Who Who Lord? I was like, wait a minute. I haven't done kids like just me. Like I'm around my grandkids all the time. You know, they grew up around me. They're growing up around me. So I'm around them all the time. I have never been around them for the entire summer with neither parent around. Like, whoa, this is new. Like they used to live with us. We used to live in this great big huge house. So, I'm always around my grandkids. Just me and no and three of them for the whole summer. Whoo child. 2 months actually. It wasn't even the whole summer, it's 2 months. And it was incredible. It was so incredible. I do miss them. And yes, it was a lot. It was a lot. And I'm very happy to be back to our regularly scheduled programming. And also after the grandkids, then we're going to get into these non-human entities that are here. Come on, family, come on in. Also, after the whole experience with my grandkids and getting them back to their family, to their mama and daddy, my daughters and I were cooking up our own little scheme of adult entertainment by going to see Beyonce. So we went to see Beyonce in Las Vegas for the last night of the Cowboy Carter tour. And baby, did she blow it up. She bought out Shabuzi. Everybody getting drunk in the club, whatever that song is, or getting tipsy in the club, something like that. So I learned about Shabuzi because I did not know about Shabuzi. My daughters had to keep me up. One is 20 something and one is 30 something. So they keep me up with everything. She bought out Shabuzi. She bought out Jay-Z. The crowd went crazy, cray. And then she brought out Destiny's Child. And yes, we got cray over that too. So it was so good. It was so good. It was like the perfect weekend that I had after all summer with the grandkids. And like we were in Universal Studios. I was like looking at Legos all summer. Legos and little people all summer. That was my whole summer. And so And it was so fun. I love it because I love my grands. I love my kids. And like we said, we happy to see them coming. We happy to see them go. So they are back home safe and happy after an amazing summer with G Mommy because I ain't nobody's grandma. Let's get into these non-human entities that are here. What are they? Who are they? And tonight, in this conversation, we are going to get into an irrefutable scientist. You hear sometimes crackpots talking about aliens. I'm not talking about any person in specific. I'm talking about people who are talking about non human entities that are here and they are less than believable because you kind of look at them like you're either high on weed or you're just high. Okay. I don't tend to take people like that seriously because I am on a hunt for truth. I am peering into the occult mysteries of the Bible. I am looking at ancient artifacts. I am traveling the globe at ancient cities. I've been to Teotihuacan, Chichen Itza, Uxmal, pyramids of Egypt, the Parthenon. I've been many, many, many places in Greece and all over the world, including Rome. And that was very interesting because that's pretty much the birthplace of Christianity. And as I go and I make these discoveries, I love talking to people who are learned, scientists, PhDs, Bible scholars, historians. I love listening to those people, not because I believe everything they say. I don't. I don't believe everything anyone says, including myself, because I'm always learning and growing. And maybe something I learned 3 months ago is completely incorrect. And now I get to find something else new. I love people who have good sense, who put together evidence and can come to a conclusion, who have critical thinking skills, who are not blinded by belief, like I used to be when I was in the cult of Jehovah's Witnesses. When I was a fundamentalist card carrying Christian, thumping the Bible, you couldn't tell me anything other than humans were born 6,000 years ago, and Jehovah God made Adam and Eve and put them in the Garden of Eden, and then they had two sons, one named Cain, one named Abel. Well, where did all the other people come from? All the questions that I had, no one has an answer to it, and they called me blasphemous if I asked too many questions. So I'm not talking to that crowd who's card carrying, Bible thumping, fundamentalist Christian story, no matter what. I love you. This you're gonna have your feelings hurt if you hang around this witch because it comes first of all, I'm a Christian witch, and that's gonna be a problem for most of you. So if that's who you are, I'm not your gal. I am here for all of the occultists, the magicians, the mystery seekers, the paranormal people, the magical people, the people who have lots of unanswered questions, the people who are willing to stretch their mind into realms unknown, the people who are yet we don't get carried away in realms unknown without critical thinking skills, without evidence, without facts, without history, without study, without deep research. I'm talking to you. You're spiritual and magical and mystical, and you're also a critical thinker. That's a winning combination right there. Let's get into it. So happy you're here. I am so happy you are here. Let's go on screen share. And we're going to talk about entities that are already here. What? Who's saying this? Are they credible? What's the evidence? How do we know this? All right. You are on the Christian Witches podcast. This is Christian Witches. This is Witchy Wednesday. Now, why am I doing this whole series? This is episode 46, I believe. I believe we're up to number 46. And the real God is not in the Bible. Pardon me. That is actually the name of this series. The real God is not in the Bible after the book that I am writing, which many of you have. And thank you for all the reviews and thank you for all the sales. And thank you. It's a hot seller. It's a hot seller. And soon the paperback and hardback will be coming out on Kickstarter later this year. So, uh, the whole series, The Real God is Not in the Bible. Why am I even talking about this? Why am I telling people that the Bible is not from God? Like, that's mean, isn't it? Why am I telling people that the Bible has nothing to do with God? God did not inspire the Bible. The Bible is a human book. It's humanity's library. The Bible doesn't belong to Christians. The Bible is for all people who desire to read it. And if you don't want to read it, it's not your thing. Don't read it. Yet many people don't read it because they were beat over the head with it in Christianity and told that this is a God book. If they were never told that, maybe they would be reading it like the Iliad and the Odyssey. I'm currently reading Homer again. I read it in high school, and guess what? Some of Homer reads just like the New Testament. Okay, there's a clue. So if you were just told that this was a great writing, like the Epic of Gilgamesh, this is just great writing, this is great literature, then we wouldn't have that emotional, it wouldn't stir us so much when we consider that the Bible's not from God. You know, it was hard for me to get that. Why? Because of my emotional attachment. Did I have emotional attachment because I read the book and in the book I thought that the book was talking about God? No, that was not it at all. I had the emotional attachment because people told me that. People put that in my mind. It's a mind virus. And what I'm offering is that you remove all viruses from the mind so that you can think clearly and freely. So I am here to support anyone who wants to learn what I've learned, share what you have learned on this topic of really where do humans really come from. And now we understand that we were not created in a garden of Eden by God's own hand from mud. And then, Eve came out of Adam's rib. This is a fairy tale version of the story. This is a dumbed down kindergarten version of a story that is an occult story. Occult means hidden, that has much deeper roots. That what does the serpent symbolize? What does Adam? Adam is not a name. Adam is a title. The Adamites. Adamu. It's not even a name. So, and what are these older Jewish stories talking about when they say that someone else slept with Eve, that Eve didn't just sleep with Adam, that someone else had slept with Eve as well? See, we're getting the whispers of the truth. It's a cult. You've got to dig deeper. So I'm here to talk about humanity's true origins. It was not 6,000 years ago. We got bones. You can find bones strewn all over this planet older than 6,000 years. Like, why do people still believe that? It's a no. No, we were not created 6,000 years ago. They're finding bones hundreds of thousands of years old in Africa and all these different places. No. It's ridiculous at this point for anyone to believe that we were created 6,000 years ago when we live in the information age and we can easily do the research on that part. I'm also here to provide conclusive evidence. I'm talking about evidence that the Bible's not from God at all. God has nothing to do with the Bible. That is so weird. Divorcing the Bible and God. Now, it's a very good thing that we do this. It's a very good thing that we divorce the Bible from God and that we free anyone who desires from the heavy yoke of believing that the Bible is from God. I want to give you a perfect example. When the bag, money in the vortex. I wish I had my bell with me. I'm here in my office. I don't even have my bell with me. Money in the vortex. Oh my goodness. Look at all that. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh, Tasha, you're always so amazing gifting memberships. Oh my goodness, you are always so amazing gifting memberships. Love it, love it, love it. Welcome to all our new members. Yay. So now here's something that will go away when we divorce the Bible from God. We will stop using the Bible to judge people. I'll give you an example. I got a copyright claim here on YouTube because different people use my content, right? And one of the people that was using my content, and I haven't really even looked deeply into it. I'll just say, yeah, delete that. Yeah, get that off. Or some people that use my content, I like it, so I'll go ahead and let them use the content because it's copyright, right? Well, there's this one particular person channel who was using my content. And the title of the video was something like, "This is why we don't permit women to teach." Now, what's fascinating about that? Here's what's fascinating about that. Where did he get that from? He's misguided. Number one, he's misguided. He's mistaken. And it's okay because I've been misguided and mistaken about a lot of things. I'm still probably mistaken about a lot of things. No worries on being mistaken. I'm easily correctable. So if you show me that I'm mistaken, I'm going to peer deeply into it and determine if I am mistaken, and then I'm going to change. Well, one of the reasons that people try to say that women should not teach, right? Now, you only hear this from weak men. I never heard it from powerful men. Powerful men don't have to beat their chest and proclaim to you that they're the boss. They're simply just walking around being powerful men. I know this incredible man that I've been talking to. It's an incredible man. He's an incredible man, super powerful. He's very successful. He owns this amazing company. He flies all over the world. This man never said anything to me, and he's Christian. This man never said anything to me about being the boss of anyone else. He never said anything to me about women shouldn't teach. He and I talk like equals. We talk like he never had in his mind to tell you that you shouldn't be doing something because you're a woman. I only find that that comes from weak men who are intimidated by women. Now, powerful men are not ever I don't know one powerful man that's intimidated by a woman. Not one. I don't know any powerful men that feel like women shouldn't say what they have to say because a powerful person appreciates being around powerful people. I'm not talking about challenging men. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about you're the woman, he's the man. And I've just never heard a powerful man tell you he's in charge. Because if someone has to tell you that they're in charge, we all know they're definitely not in charge. I've only heard this statement from weak men. Oh, thank you so much. Looking fantastic. Thank you so much. I have only heard this statement from weak men. Now, follow me on this. If you're a weak man, right? That's no one's watching here because I know all the men that watch this, powerful men, amazing men like my father, men that are just amazing. So think of weak men. They're looking for something to prop themselves up because they secretly feel weak and inadequate. So what do they use? The Bible. Not because the Bible says, I don't permit women to teach. Not because of that. Because the church told them that the Bible said this because it's from God. Whereas if you did not think it came from God, you would simply read it and think that someone in the Bible said, I don't permit women to teach. And you would think no more of it than that's his opinion. You wouldn't give it any more credence than that. You know what I'm saying? It's like a character, it's like if you're reading Harry Potter and one of the people in Harry Potter says, I don't like mushrooms. Now, if we think that book comes from God, they'll make a religion that says you're not supposed to eat mushrooms because it says it in the Bible. I don't like mushrooms because this person is from God. And this person said, God said, I don't like mushrooms. We should never eat mushrooms. That's, I know that's a very infantile example, yet it speaks to people using the Bible for their own purposes. I see this all the time. You may have seen it too. Tell me if you've seen this. Using the Bible for their own purposes and their own ends and their own means to try to say that this is what God wants you to do. God wants you to wear this long skirt. God wants you to sit quiet in this church, female. God wants you to not open your legs except to your husband who has 17 daughters, 17 underage wives, Mormons or fundamentalists, FLDS, the Latter day Saints. An 80-year-old man got 17 wives that range in age from teens up to 20s. Don't open your legs for anybody else but for me. There's one in jail right now, a prophet, sleeping with all these underage girls. I don't know where they got that from because I haven't seen that. Well, we have seen it in the Bible. They were stating, "Hey, we're going to war. We're going to get the girls and we're going to get the women." Why do we think that's from God? If that is God, we're all in trouble. We're all in trouble. It's over for us. Because if that's our supreme deity speaking, we are fucked royally. Okay? We royally are just screwed. We might as well throw in the towel right now. If your supreme deity says, go to war and fight that person and then grab the wives and children and do whatever you want with them. Make them slaves, make them your wives, do whatever you want with them. That's our supreme deity. This is what people believe. This is what I used to believe. This is what I used to believe. I find it ludicrous now that I ever believed that. I believed it because that's what they told me. I had to break those chains off my own brain. And now I'm here to support anyone who wants to break those chains off of their brain. If you want to break those chains off your brain, I'm your gal. Let's do the breaking of chains together. Breaker of chains, Khaleesi. You know how they would introduce Khaleesi in Game of Thrones? Stormborn, breaker of chains, mother of dragons. You could just call me Khaleesi, breaker of chains. That would be sufficient. Breaker of chains, freedom purveyor. Freedom purveyor. Let's free our minds together. Let's continue. So that's why we've got to help anyone who wants to get out of that whole idea that Bible and God go together when they don't. And I love, love, love what Tasha did because that gives you all access to the book, the current working version of the ebook. My ebook is in a working version. So when you get the ebook, it's not even completed. I'm still adding more and more and more to the ebook. And when you buy the ebook, you can get the ebook as a gift from me as a member. We would love your reviews. We would love your reviews. We would love your reviews from the book. I've got to show you on Amazon these beautiful reviews. Love I love the reviews. I love the reviews. I'm so thankful. I'm reading the reviews and I love the reviews. The reviews are amazing, amazing, amazing. I've really put a lot of heart and soul into this book. We do have one star. I'm very happy that it came from a person who did not read the book. So I'm happy about that. And she wanted to absolutely say that there are angels in the Bible. There are no angels in the Bible. Period. If you do your research, you'll find that out. There's no angel. I'm not saying there's no angels. I'm saying there's no angels in the Bible. All of those beings, though, they were Elohim, Anunnaki, and also the Ijiji. So thank you, thank you, thank you for all of the incredible reviews on the book. Keep them coming, keep them coming, keep them coming. Let's continue. And obviously, my core driver is love and freedom. So we want to end all war. We want to stop being divided. We can't even join the Galactic Federation or the Cosmic Federation because we're still so busy fighting each other down on this little marble in a billions and billions and billions of stars and billions and billions and billions of galaxies. We can't even stop fighting each other to even enter into a cosmic conversation because we're still fighting black and white, old and young, straight and gay, and and all these things that people are fighting over. How about we just come all into oneness and stand and take our place in the cosmic family and end all war and stop believing that the aliens are coming here to abduct your children, conduct experiments on them. which could have happened, could very well be the case with some of them. I don't think all of them are like that. It's just like people. I don't think all aliens are evil, and I don't think all people are evil. I don't think all aliens are good natured, and I don't think all people are good natured. I don't think that there's really any difference between the aliens and us in that respect. That you will find some that are helpful and some maybe not. But we will not, and we will be in peaceful alliance with our entire family. The family now is not just the human family. We've got to take into consideration that there are beings here from multiple stars, multiple galaxies could be, and we probably sit next to them and we probably couldn't even see them. Some of them are probably shapeshifters. Some of them are probably able to take on human bodies. I mean, we saw Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I'm not saying it's like that because Hollywood is pretty crazy in some of the things they come up with. Now, remember, the Bible already told us this. The Bible already told us that something non human is here, something non human has been here for a very long time, because the Bible is one of the most ancient and accurate collection of texts on ancient aliens and their interactions with humans. The Bible gives you detailed, and I got some scriptures for you coming up. The Bible gives you detailed descriptions, depictions, dates, times, exact experiences that people were having with entities and beings that were non human. The Bible told us this so long. This is why we've got to divorce the Bible from God. It's a rightful divorce because if we keep saying, this is God, no, these were ancient aliens. The Bible has given us accurate measurements of non human spacecraft. This is incredible that it's actually given us technology, measurements, descriptions that are vivid of non human craft. Think about that. Yahweh's kavod. A kavod is not glory. A kavod is a big, heavy metal thing that is possibly dangerous and destructive. That's the true meaning of kavod. It was translated into your Bible as glory. The glory of God landed, the glory of God rose in the east. How is this thing directional when it's glory? Isn't the glory of God everywhere? It's directional, though, in the Bible because it's not glory, it's a spacecraft. The Bible has given us encoded form the truth about humanity's origins, and it's not simply a man and a woman in a garden talking to a snake. It's much deeper than that. So we get to open our minds to possibilities that heretofore would have sounded absolutely insane. Now, who are we talking about today? We are talking about Gary P. Nolan. Oh my goodness. Here's the inspiration for this conversation that we're having because I'm always listening to scientists and archaeologists and astrologers, astronomers. I'm all physicists. I'm deep into all of these things because all of these things help us put piece together the clues. Like, where the fuck did we come from? Where did we come from? That's just all we want to know. Because the story they told us, no, not the Jewish story, not the Christian story, not the Islamic story. No, 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 no. I'm nothing against those religions. If you love being in the religion, great. If you love it, I love it for you. I'm talking about, are any of these mythologies, religion is a mythology, are any of these mythologies actually scientifically accurate? No. Now they're pointing, the Bible is giving you clues, it's giving you information. Yet the way they teach it in church is so inane and kindergartenish. So who's good Gary P. Nolan? Gary P. Nolan is a British American immunologist, an academic. He's an inventor. He's a business executive. This man has started no less than 20, I believe it was 22 different companies, all successful, I think, except one or two. He holds the Ratchford and Carlotta A. Harris Professor Endowed Chair in the Department of Pathology at Stanford University School of Medicine. This man is a heavyweight. Nolan has founded biotechnology companies, and since 2022, most of his public appearances have been related to his support for ufology and his belief that extraterrestrial intelligence has visited or resides on Earth. They're right here with us. Now, I want to tell you a little bit more about this man because this man is absolutely fascinating. He has published over 330 research articles. I love people who are deeply studied of their craft in their arena of study. 330 research articles. When do you have time to write 330 research articles? I know some of the research articles he's written with students as well, right? Some of his students. And he's the holder of 50 US patents. 50. This man is an inventor. This man is a thinker. This man is a scientist. This man is super brilliant and has been honored as one of the top 25 inventors at Stanford University. This man is inventing biotech that helps people overcome cancer. He is a highly accomplished scientist, inventor, and entrepreneur known for his significant contributions to biotechnology, particularly in the fields of immunology and cancer research. So he's recognized for developing innovative technologies and founding several biotech companies. Super duper uber successful. Now, what really caught my eye, this is what really caught my eye about Gary Nolan and why we're talking about Gary Nolan right now, and why this is yet another nail in the coffin to people who don't believe these kinds of things. This is just another nail in the coffin. Gary Nolan was on a couple of podcasts lately. First of all, Gary Nolan was on the Jordan B. Peterson podcast, and Jordan Peterson does not talk about aliens that I know of. I have seen many Jordan Peterson videos. I have watched a lot of Jordan Peterson. I don't always agree with Jordan Peterson. I watch him. I think he's an extremely interesting person. And I think he's a fascinating individual. I like fascinating people, whether I agree with them or not. I like people who are thinkers. I like people who are doing things out of the box. I like people who the establishment comes after, because then you probably really need to listen to what they were saying. And the Canadian government really came after him. I like people like that. Well, Jordan Peterson, in all the years that I've been watching Jordan Peterson, I've never seen him talk about aliens. I've never seen him have anyone on his show about aliens. So think about what's happening. This video got 1.3 million views, and this is a somewhat new video. You can go watch it if you like it. Something non-human has been here a long time. The second I saw that, you know me, I was like, "Grr," like drop everything, go over and listen to this man. And I listened to most of it. As you can see, I got through most of the video, and I will complete the video. I didn't need to complete it to just nod my head, yes, 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 because all of these different people in different spheres of study are saying the same thing. Something is here, it's been here a long time. He's saying non humans are here. Now, I like the way he addresses this. So I watched more Jordan Peterson, and I took mental notes, and I said, oh my goodness, I've got to talk about Gary Nolan in in the live streams. Well, it was so incredible as I was listening to him, and I listened to him have his own UFO experience. And he was not one of these crazy jump on the UFO bandwagon, because he actually debunked this supposedly UFO skeleton that was found in Peru many years ago. Was it Peru or Ecuador? I think it was called the Amataba or Atakataba, something like that, mummy. It was a mummy. It was a very tiny body. And he debunked it because they were saying that it was an alien, so forth and so on. And he said, well, you know, I have all this research right here in Stanford, and there's all these people here that can help. And so he got a sample from the mummy, and he debunked it. It was not a UFO, it was human. Well, just a small human. It was humanoid, yet it had adaptations, kind of. It was a strange human. It was still human. So some people in the UFO community thought that he did not like UFOs and that he was trying to debunk UFOs. But he was not debunking UFOs. He was debunking that particular skeleton as being a UFO, which that is what a scientist is supposed to do. If a scientist comes upon something, researches and studies it, and says, no, this is not alien, boom, that's what he's supposed to do. And so he did his job. Okay, so I watched that. And then I watched him on the Robinson Earhart podcast, which you can see is 3 hours long, over 3 hours long. And you can watch any of those, pull up any of these on YouTube. Gary Nolan, Aliens, the case they're already here. And then this one really struck my eye. Gary Nolan, the White House silenced me about UAP. So here's what happened with Gary Nolan. This is fascinating. This is very, very, very fascinating. And we'll talk a little bit more about these UFO, UAP, and getting our terminology accurate and precise, which is important to have a really intelligent conversation. Yes, Gary Nolan has had his own UFO encounter. I think many of us have had non human encounters. I'll just say that. Gary Nolan doesn't say that the non humans are from another planet. Okay? Non humans don't have to be from another planet. They could be from this planet, the inner Earth. They could be. They could be reptilian. Who knows? I don't know. I haven't delved deep into reptilian. I'm not dismissing the idea completely because I don't know about it. They could be from this planet. They could be a life form that we cannot perceive with our five senses. And this should absolutely not be strange to us because we can't hear what dogs can hear. We can't even see in the dark. And we just found out when that big piece of ice fell off up in Alaska, I believe it was not Antarctica. I think it's somewhere in the Arctic, that they found all these bacteria and creatures that we've never seen before that have been living in the water up there for who God knows how long, could be billions of years old, millions of years, species we never saw before. So why, I don't understand why it's so strange, why we just want to be so stuck in this paradigm that it's not possible at all to have anything other here than anything other here on this planet than humans, animals, and bugs and birds, fish and whales. Like, we just want to stay at this elementary level of understanding. But, family, beings are here. They've already been here. Many, many, many people are saying this, including the United States government. So, they said that they're doing a program now of like gentle disclosure, like little by little, because these beings any day will show up. And it's probably not going to be a Hollywood thing. Like, give us your children. No, we're taking over Earth. All this craziness that they've been showing us on Hollywood forever. And we ought not to be in fear. We ought to be in power. So Gary Nolan doesn't say that they're from another planet. Here are some ideas. These non-human entities could be, this is one amazing um, idea on who they could be. They could be a future us. Like, it could be us 20,000 years from now who learned time travel and coming back to tell us what we need to change. That's fascinating. In that case, they would be human, yet they would be humans with some kinds of adaptations, I guess, evolutionary or whatever. They could be beings that are spiritual beings, beings that are energetic beings, beings that don't have bodies. That's possible. We've been communing with them for a very long time. As any spiritual person, they've been communing with all kinds of beings that don't have bodies. It could be that they are, I've already stated, they could be from this planet. They may not be from another planet. They may be from this planet. They could be a future version of ourselves. They could be spirit and don't have bodies, energetic beings. There's many possibilities of what they could be. What we do know is that they are far more advanced than us. Far more advanced. Why? Well, here's what happened to Gary Nolan that tells you that these beings are far more advanced than us. The CIA showed up at his door. And the CIA came to his door and he's like, "What? CIA? Well, why did the CIA want to talk to him?" They came to talk to him because they said, "Can you examine, because you're a doctor, you have all this, devices, you're super smart. He's like a go-go gadget kind of person, right? He's super smart. They wanted him to figure out what was wrong with some of the people that were in the CIA who were having these headaches, these different symptoms, and they were having groups of symptoms. And what they suspected was that the alien technology, something was being done to these people that was non human. They thought this could be some kind of attack from beings that had far more technology, technological prowess, information, insight than us. So they're far advanced than we are, much further advanced than we are. And that shouldn't be strange either because they told us that there were cavemen on the planet, and now supposedly we're more advanced than the cavemen. But I don't believe the caveman story either. Anyway, if we went with the normal paradigm, it shouldn't be strange that there are beings more advanced than us because we are supposedly more advanced than some other beings. Well, what he discovered was that something was being done to these people, and it was being done remotely. And it's almost like they had the ability to direct a microwave at your brain. Imagine if a being could direct a microwave at your brain, they could fry your brain right inside of your head and you would never see it coming. We can't see microwaves. We can't see microwaves. We didn't invent microwaves. We discovered microwaves. The scientist that discovered the microwave was doing experimentation and noticed that in his experiment, his chocolate bar that was in his pocket started melting. And he realized, oh my goodness, this thing is producing some kind of heat. This is how the microwave started to be invented. We discovered it. We didn't know anything about microwaves. So advanced civilizations, advanced beings, we'll just call them non-human beings, entities, they already know about microwaves. We just discovered it. They already know about electric pulses. They already know about all kinds of things in physics that we haven't discovered yet. I mean, that makes perfect sense to me. We just haven't discovered it yet. I mean, we're smart. We're super smart. We can figure it out. Of course. And isn't it wise to say we know this much and there's a lot we don't know? Isn't it wise to say that and just keep learning? I mean, that seems common sense to me. Well, he studied these people and he found out that all of them had this same thing and that something was being done to them remotely, and they put a bucket on it, they put a name on it, and of course they hushed him up and told him he had to sign all these agreements as non so he can't go into any more details than like what was on the news or something like that, right? He also said that there was a veteran who could not get his benefits. And he had a heart issue. And this was really hard for him and his family because he had served in the military. And for some reason, he couldn't get his benefits because his case file had been closed and was considered top secret. No one could open his case file. So, because no one could open his file, he couldn't get veterans benefits. Like, no one could access it. It was just like top secret. No one can look at this. And why? Because he had had some kind of encounter with non human beings. Well, they got it all settled and worked out, and he could get his benefits, which was great, and take care of his heart situation. So, the approach that many governments have taken, including the United States government, the Brazilian government, oh, they say in Brazil, stuff pops off all the time. I think these non human entities love Brazil. And perhaps some of the sightings and experiences that people have had that we would call more religious because we're religious people by and large, maybe they weren't religious at all. Maybe there were entities talking to people like maybe what appeared to be Fatima, right? The beautiful appearance. Maybe this was one of those beings, one of those non-human beings. Maybe these Mother Mary sightings were some of these non-human beings. We don't know. I'm not saying that it wasn't Fatima or Our Lady of Guadalupe or What if these non-human beings have been talking to us all along in ways that we understand because we understand miracles, we understand we're more religious in our thought pattern. Anyway, Gary Nolan said that there are many, many, many of these in Brazil, and the Brazilian government also is in the hush hush, just like the United States government is in the hush hush. Most governments around the world hush hush because if the word got out, it could be panic, it could be pandemonium. If they showed us the craft that they have actually recovered, if they showed us the beings that they've actually recovered, like even Congress didn't know about this, it would probably be mass hysteria. Even though these beings are not only appearing to people in the government, they're appearing to everyone, anywhere, and everywhere. They're all over. So it's not like they're hiding anything from us. Let's continue. Let's continue. Going back on screen share. So I just wanted to say that we don't have to say where they're from, what they look like, and who they are. It's enough to say they're non-human. We can say that because we all know things that are non-human. All right. Here's what happened on the podcast, and I had to put the exact quotes. The host on the podcast, the second podcast I was watching, Robinson Earhart, not Jordan Peterson, because Jordan Peterson was like, "What happened? You know, CIA came to your house, came to see you, and then they gave you this gag order, and then all these different things." And he was like, "Yeah," and the stuff he couldn't talk about, he was like, "I can't talk about that." It was very clear, right? Well, when he went on this other podcast with Robinson Earhart, the host said to him right up top, I don't believe aliens have ever visited Earth. What do you say to someone who says that? He came right out with it. He said, Gary Nolan said, to me, the evidence is overwhelming. And I'm in the same camp with Gary Nolan. Like, if you're still saying at this point, and I tell you one thing, Gary Nolan trashed Neil deGrasse Tyson on that. Because Neil deGrasse Tyson is always saying it's not aliens. No, they couldn't get here. No, no, don't think. I think Neil deGrasse Tyson, on some level, is a paid agent to try to stupefy us. And I don't mean to stupefy like a spell from Harry Potter. I more mean to stupefy as in keep you dumbed down and stupid. And oh no, it couldn't be aliens. No, it's not aliens. Like I watched him one time and I was like, wow, why is this man so anti-alien? Like, is someone paying him to be anti-alien just on purpose? Like, and Gary Nolan said, we have the technology to go to another place. It'd take us 500,000 years to get there. He said, we have the technology for it. So to say the technology doesn't exist for them to arrive here on planet Earth, he said it's just flat lie, and he knows it too. Anyway, the evidence is overwhelming. Now, before we go into what does the Bible have to do with this, because I love the Bible, let's be clear on terms. We're not going to use the term UFO anymore. That was the 1950s and Area 51 and all of that. We're not going to use UFO anymore. Unidentified flying object. Why? Well, now we're calling it UAPs, right? That's what they call it in Congress and everything. UAP, unidentified anomalous phenomena. That's a good one. I like UAP. Unidentified, it could be aerial or anomalous phenomena. Like something could happen, like a shadow could come. That would be a UAP. Like anything, it could be anything now. Now, why was it important for them to do this? Because the Navy was seeing them go into the ocean over in California. The Navy was seeing these super fast, incredibly speedy. Now, I'm going to tell you something. This is in the Bible. This is in the Bible where it said that the same thing that these Navy officers, many of them were officers, things like that, they saw these craft moving at absolute insane speeds that if you were in it, it would kill us from going that speed, that fast. Showing up one blip on the radar and one other blip on the radar a second later, that is an impossible speed. We don't even know how to go that fast. And that this experience would change direction without turning around. Can you fly a plane right now and it go backwards or sideways? I was just on several planes. Took my grandkids to Dallas. Then we flew to Vegas. Then I flew back to Miami. You can't move a plane in any way other than one direction at a time, forward and up, or forward and down. You can't move the plane to the left or to the right, and you can't move the plane backwards. Like we all know this. These craft are omnidimensional, omnidirectional. Not they could be omnidimensional as well. Omnidirectional in that they can change direction without turning around. That's what Ezekiel told you in the Bible. Ezekiel said it was a wheel within a wheel, and it went forward, and then it went another direction, and it went to the left, and went to the right without having to change. It didn't have to turn around. It could go any way it willed. Ezekiel already told you that. That's in the Bible. But you're so busy thinking that the Bible's from God and that was somehow God's chariot. Baby, ain't God ain't got no chariots. What does God need with a chariot? Please tell me, what does God need with a chariot? The infinite universal source of all life is going to get on a little chariot. That doesn't make sense. How did I believe this stuff? How did I believe this stuff? But anyway, I digress. So now, because it's unidentified anomalous phenomena, it can encompass things that are in the air, aerial, and it can also encompass items that go into the sea or items that are in space or really anything anywhere that is unidentified. It's anomalous and it's phenomena. We don't know what it is. That's a fancy way to say we got no clue. That's UAPs. Now, before we go any further into the Bible, let me come off screen share for a minute because there's something I want to share with you. Y'all tell me, family. Y'all tell me, do God have chariots? What does God need with a chariot? Humans had chariots. And guess what? If God had a chariot in this day and age of Teslas and rockets, we would call God very old fashioned because God, we don't even use chariots no more. We don't use chariots anymore, God. Do we have to update God on the current technology? God doesn't know that a chariot is old fashioned because God is still stuck back in the Bible. Like, if we start having really critical thinking skills around this, it all falls apart. We would not be believing this stuff. We wouldn't be believing this stuff, right? This is why people need to study philosophy, especially Hindu philosophy. Oh my goodness. In the Vedas, they talk about this all the time. They have the full descriptions of all these flying beings, their craft, what they were doing. They were different colors. That's why in Hindu philosophy, a lot of times you see them. They're blue, they're green. Same thing in Egypt. They're different colors. These beings are different colors. Okay, a large amount of the ocean hasn't been discovered. Those ETs could easily be in the ocean. Damn sure can't go in a Bermuda Triangle. That is exactly right. Do you know what scientists are saying? That we go into space and we explore outer space and we have no idea what's in the ocean. We can't go down that far. We cannot go past a certain depth. Too much pressure. We can't even get down there. We haven't even built anything that could go down under the water. So why do we act like we know what's down there? We don't. Yet we see the craft going into the water. And that fits the conversations about Inky, that Inky was in the waters and that they had all of these watercraft. There's a whole water city down there. I would not be surprised one bit if there was an entire water city, whole water cities under there. Wouldn't surprise. I wouldn't even bat an eye. Would not be surprised. Where do all our mermaid stories come from? Wouldn't surprise me one bit if there were whole cities of beings, full of beings under the ocean, and no one can say, no, that's ridiculous. No, no, no. Why? We haven't been there. We don't know. We can't go down there. Do we understand how limited we are in our focus, in our ability to explore our environment? We're on a water planet and we can't even live in water. Think about that. Why are we on a water planet and we can't even survive in water? Just wipe us all out. Just cover the whole thing with water. We live on a water planet, yet we can't live in the water. That should raise a red flag right there. That's odd. It's odd. It just is. It's not odd though if something bioengineered us to be here in a place we don't belong. That wouldn't be odd. That would explain a lot. Yes, that's exactly right, Tasha. What does God need money for? What does God need a chariot for? What does God need any of these things for, right? If you ever seen one of these objects in the sky, it's very identifiable, interesting. And you know immediately that it's not human. Like you know immediately. All of us have had experiences, but sometimes our logical mind wants to brush it off. Like, no, that didn't just happen. All of us have had experiences with non human entities. We might as well be peaceful with it. We might as well come to terms with it and accept that we share this great big universe with many, 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 many other beings. And then we could start to get to know them rather than be afraid and believe Hollywood. Now, I want to say this this live stream is sponsored by Soul Excursions. Ah! And next year, we will be going 2026. We will be going to Egypt. We'll be going back to Egypt. We'll be going back to Egypt. Oh my goodness. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to show you in a moment how you can come to Egypt with us absolutely free. It's a crazy, insane idea. I had this crazy, insane idea the other day and I put it out right away. You can also come with us to the Bali retreat absolutely free. I'm going to show you how, and then we're going to get back into it because, we got to pay the bills around here, right? Energy exchanges. We don't say bills, we say energy exchanges. So we've got to make sure that everything stays profitable around here, right? So we got to offer you the opportunity to invest in yourself or to partner with us for these wonderful excursions. Now, we're going to go on screen share and I'm going to show you exactly how, and I'm going to drop the link for you. I have a Zoom that I'm doing this coming Sunday, and I'm going to drop the link right here for you. This gives you the details of how you can get the Bali retreat for free. That's the Bali retreat. It is going to be absolutely stunning. When we go to Bali, that's me. That's a picture I took of us in Bali, myself in Bali last year at our luxury villa. We are going back to Bali in 2026. This is currently 2025 as I'm talking about this. If the date has passed already for Bali when you're watching this, because I've been on YouTube for so many years, then it's all good because you can just go to the link and see what's there currently. I have to say that because I make evergreen content. Now, if you go to this page, it will show you how you can come with us to Egypt for absolutely free. Absolutely free. I'm not kidding about this. I'm not kidding. And I'm going to show you everything on a Zoom this Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And I will give you all the details. Yet, a small deposit is required. It's only $100 and it's completely refundable. Why? Because I only want serious people with us on the Zoom. So if you're thinking about it, don't worry, you get your money back within 30 days. If you're thinking about it and you want to hop on the Zoom, only those who have submitted a deposit will have access to the Zoom where I'm going to show you step by step how you can attend the Bali retreat absolutely free. Or and the Egypt retreat absolutely free. You can attend both absolutely free. I know it's like a lottery, right? It's amazing. Back to our regularly scheduled program. This video is sponsored by Soul Excursions, my retreat company, because we love going on retreats all over the world. I've been doing it for 20 years, and it's absolutely my passion and love, taking amazing people all over the world, traveling the world. We love it, and I love it too. Let's continue. So now, what does this all have to do with the Bible? So you heard me talk about Gary Nolan. You heard me talk about, let's go here. Okay. You heard me clarify the terms. Oh, there's pictures from Bali. We'll put you on the Bali swing. You'll have a fabulous time. We're going to give you daily massages. I'm not doing the daily massages. We have a masseuse coming in for that. You'll be in a luxury villa. You'll have a chef, all of that. It's amazing. It's amazing, amazing. And Egypt, you'll be on hot air balloons. You'll be in the temples with us. You'll be all over Egypt, Antiquities Museum. You cannot make sense of the Bible unless you go to Egypt, okay? You just cannot. You just cannot. So I love Egypt. Now, let's talk about Moro Biglino because I want to bridge the divide between the UFO people, the UAP people, we'll call it UAP, and the Bible. Like, where's the bridge? Here it is right here. So you've heard me talk about Mauro Bellino before, and I'm going to talk about him again. And I'm also going to talk about another scientist we love who is a NASA scientist. Now, before we go to the NASA scientist, who is no longer on this planet, he's in the realm of the ancestors. Mauro Bellino, during the past 10 years, he has done tireless work of outreach and divulgation. He divulges information in the Bible because he is a Hebrew translator. And he worked for a press, San Paolo Press. He's in Italy. And he worked for a press that was commissioned by the Vatican to create interlinear Bibles. Now, an interlinear Bible is very different from simply a translation of the Bible. So let's go to our interlinear Bible. You've heard me talk about the interlinear Bible before. It's called Scripture for All. Scripture for All. So you've heard me talk about the interlinear Bible. It just gives you word for word from one language to the other. So it's not a translation, it's an interlinear. And I love Scripture for All. I'm on it all the time. I was just on it today. And you can get the Greek and you can get the Hebrew. So I'm usually in the Hebrew to English interlinear Bible. And I was just looking up today Exodus 12:12 again. And I'm going to show you that in a moment. So that was his job. His job was to do an interlinear translation, create interlinear Bibles from Hebrew into Italian, because this is an Italian scholar. It's very exacting. It's very rigorous. You've got to have a handle on the Hebrew language. You've got to have a handle on the Italian language. You've got to be so precise with even connotations to create an interlinear. Like a translation gives you a little more fluidity. Interlinear, you must be precise. And this is what he found. He found that these words that were in the Hebrew Bible were not talking about God. They were talking about entities. And he said he found at least 20 different Elohim in the Hebrew Bible. Yet all of them have been whitewashed when the Bible was redacted into one being Yahweh. There were many Elohim, many of them. That sounds crazy, yet we have evidence. He had many chances to discuss with countless experts, including biologists, archaeologists, engineers, and medical doctors, which supported his hypothesis concerning the possibility that the Bible might contain clear tracks about the true origins of humanity. In his view, mankind might have been manufactured. Sheesh, manufactured. We were manufactured. Woo! By a community of non terrestrial beings, the Elohim. That's what the Bible calls them. That's what he calls them also, because he's a Bible translator, right? That have later been turned into divinities by mankind itself. We turned, and as people kept talking about it over the centuries, and redacting the Bible and trying to work out and translating it from Hebrew. Well, the Hebrew were stories that were even older than the Hebrew Bible. So they didn't make up the stories. Some stories they did make up, like Moses. Moses is a completely invented story. Yet the stories that they made up, there was no Moses. There was no Moses. There was no Exodus. Never happened. The people were creating this because they needed an origin story. And it's a powerful origin story because we still believe in Moses. Moses has nothing to do with me, but we still believe in Moses. Anyway, they wrote down stories, early Israelite people, that were who were actually Canaanite people. Israelites derived from Canaanites. Then they started hating them and having feuds. That's what you read about in the Bible. The Israelite people wanted an origin story because they were going to break away, make their own thing, right? They weren't going to be Canaanites anymore. That's why you see all the fights between Baal and Yahweh. No, our God is better than your God. No, our God is better than your God. Back and forth, Baal Yahweh, Baal Yahweh, Baal Yahweh, right? Fighting. They were still both somewhat minor gods. Everybody knew these weren't the only gods. Egypt had a whole bunch of gods too. Everybody had gods. Everybody had plenty of gods. Still do. Some people's God is sex. Some people's God is cigarettes. People still have many gods. Okay, so these Israelites, the ones who began to write these stories, some of them manufactured, some of them based on prior stories, and some of them straight up from the Sumerians, Babylonians, Assyrians, because they were in Babylon in captivity for 500 years. Well, well, not 500 years. They were in captivity for a long time during the 500s and 600s BCE. Well, while they were in captivity, they would have heard all these Babylonian stories. They would have heard it because first, it was the Sumerians and the Akkadians, the Assyrians came through and super violent, killed up a bunch of people, the Babylonians, and then the Persians came after that, right? The Persians were more, you know, accepting of different people's faith and whatnot, but the Babylonians, they want you to believe their gods, right? Well, and the Persians were very much into Ahura Mazda and Angra Mainyu, which was more Zoroastrianism. And then you see that kind of working its way into the New Testament with the magic practicing priests who come see the baby Jesus. Probably were Zoroastrian or Persian magi or magical practitioners, also known as astrologers, people who could read the stars, people who could do divination, all these things. Well, when they wrote these stories, right? When they received the stories were about many different beings. We could say Enki was doing this, and let's say uh, uh, Anu was doing this, and Anu's wife was doing this, and Lady Ninhursag was doing this. There were a lot of different beings. They made them all one. When they redacted the Bible, they had to make all these Elohim into one person. So would that make your God pretty multi-personalitied? Multi-personalitied? If he used to be 10, 15, 20 different beings, and now you rolled them all into one person and tried to make sense of it, yet it's still peeking out because in one place he says something and in another place he says something else. It's confusing. Well, it's not confusing if you follow the bouncing ball of what happened. It's like we're playing a big game of telephone. It came from this people and this people and this people and this people. And the story changed and changed and changed and changed and changed. So among these beings, one in particular stands out among these beings, Yahweh. In Mauro Buglino's faithful reading of the Old Testament, notice he says faithful reading. We're not mistranslating other words into things that they don't mean. Yahweh is simply the ruler of one of the many Hebraic families, that of the Israelites. Now, here are some of the mistranslations in the Bible that Mauro Buglino talks about. Elohim or Elohim, mistranslated God, the one power. We all know that that's not so. Elohim can denote gods, it can denote rulers, it can denote a group of beings, it can denote judges, it can denote Many ones of power, beings of power. There are many ways Elohim could be translated. It doesn't just mean the one true God. Doesn't mean that. Well, that's what we have in our Bible. Okay, Lord, mistranslated as Yahweh or Eternal One or God of Eternity. Elion, mistranslated as Most High. You hear a lot of people talking about the Most High. The Most High is an Anunnaki. His name was Anu. That's who the Most High is. Why? Because he was the one that was way up. Elion, it means the one who is high up above, because he was in a satellite space station that was high up. It's literally what it says. He was high up. He was high up. He was in a space station. He wasn't El Elyon. You know, we talk about that in church. El Elyon, the Most High. Yes, God. Talking in tongues. Is just talking about an alien. It's just talking about an extraterrestrial. It's just talking about a visitor, maybe from another planet, maybe from inner Earth. It's just talking about another being that was not God. El Shaddai. It's another one. It means Lord of the steppe or Lord of the plain. It does not mean the Almighty. It doesn't mean that. Ruach. That's mistranslated as the Spirit of God. Spirit. God's Spirit was moving to and fro over the waters. No, it was a machine that was doing terraforming and moving water out of the way. It's all so simple. It's all so simple when you really look at it. It just produces a wind. It's like a wind machine. We have wind machines. Nothing strange there. Nothing strange there. Kavod, mistranslated glory, it actually means a big, heavy, and impossibly dangerous metal flying machine. That's actually what kavod is. And in the Bible, whenever it speaks of a kavod, the kavod landed on the ground, and the kavod did this, and the kavod came from the east, and the kavod was blowing wind. Wait a minute. Yet later on, people just translated. What is it? We don't know. Let's just call it God's glory. What does glory mean? Light, eminence, effervescence. What is glory? Glory. I mean, I'm not making fun of it. It's pretty hilarious now, but glory. Like, what is that? What is glory? I don't know. God's eminence, God's light. But is it, I keep saying, is it directional? Is it only in one place? It just appears and then it disappears? No. Let's look at some examples. Of course, the famous example, Genesis 1:1, Elohim created the heavens and earth. Right in the beginning, there's this group of entities. Exodus 12:12, I was just looking at it today. For I will pass through the land of Egypt this night and will smite all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, both man and beast, and against all the gods, Elohim of Egypt, I will execute judgment. I am the Lord. Wait a minute. The Elohim of Egypt? But I thought Elohim was the one true God. No. Everybody got Elohim. There's some Elohim over here, there's some Elohim over here, and there's some Elohim over there, which matches the story. Because in the story, they were dividing and conquering, they were dividing up their people. And Yahweh, or the entity that was in charge of the Israelites, was just one of many. Psalm 82 is really your smoking gun. Psalm 82:1. God presides in the great assembly, he renders judgment among the gods. That's what it says in Psalm 82. Wait a minute. God is in an assembly of other gods and he's making a judgment. This is Anu of the Anunnaki, and they had a council. It was a sky council, it was 12 of them. I mean, it makes sense. It got passed on to the Greek people as Mount Olympus. It makes sense. Zeus and all of them, all their escapades on Mount Olympus. We know about Zeus, Kronos, all of them. We had to, because we had to study it in the Bible, in church, in school. Okay? What I'm saying is that Greek mythology, Egyptian mythology, and the Bible, they're all saying the same thing. Yet church would make you think that we're special. No. The Bible's the only one with the truth. No, the Bible is the only one that's really, really, really. But we still have 35,000 different denominations of Christianity. And you're not all saying the same thing. Don't mind me if I disagree. I want you to read these books, because these books, mind-blowing. And one of these books that is so mind-blowing to me is The Spaceships of Ezekiel. And we've talked about this before, yet it warrants another conversation. And here's why. I want to show you this book on Amazon, and this is my Amazon link. I'm going to give you my Amazon link. As an Amazon influencer, I earn commissions when you use my link. Yay! Got to do the disclosure. That's important. Disclosure is important. Hi, money to boy tags. Yes, indeed. Okay, let's look at it. Here it is. Here's Exodus 12:12. What does it say here? I'm going to show you Exodus 12:12. You can read it for yourself right in the Interlinear Bible. Let me give you this link. Matter of fact, look it up for yourself because I asked no one to believe me. I don't want believers. I like people that know the truth. I like knowers. I like hanging around knowers, not believers. Believers are dangerous to me. As far as I'm concerned, they're very dangerous because they'll do strange things for their beliefs. Okay, here's Exodus 12:12. And here it is right here. Elohim of Egypt. It's right there in the original text. Wait a minute. But I thought Elohim was the one true God. No, the Egyptians, they have some Elohim too. It's a bunch of them. It's a bunch of them. I want you to read this book. This book is it's actually a pretty quick read. It's actually, let me find it for you on Amazon. This book is actually a pretty quick read, The Spaceships of Ezekiel. Let me go to it again. Spaceships of Ezekiel on Amazon. I want to get you to the right one because there's a couple of different versions. Okay, this is the one that I recommend. Okay, Spaceships of Ezekiel. So, what's this book about? Well, we probably all know about Eric Van Daniken, right? Eric Von Daniken. Let me say his name correctly. And Eric Von Daniken, for a long time, he's been talking about chariots of the gods and these beings that have come here from, he's a History Channel. We all know him. And if you don't know him, you can look him up. Well, Joseph Bloomrick was listening to Eric Von Daniken, and he said, "This man is just he's not telling the truth. This is not possible, and no, and I'm going to prove it." So Joseph F. Bloomrick was a NASA scientist for 40 years, and he said, "No way that spaceships are in the Bible. No way, no way, no way." And so he studied Ezekiel. Now I read this book. This book is fascinating. Anyone who doesn't believe spaceships are in the Bible to an extreme level of detail, so much detail that Joseph F. Bloomrick was able to take Ezekiel, the book of Ezekiel, chapters 1 specifically. I also believe chapter 11, chapter 12, but definitely chapter 1. And he was able to get a patent on the omnidirectional wheel and able to substantiate the spaceships of Ezekiel. That Ezekiel was not talking about a God Almighty coming on a chariot, sitting on a throne with four living creatures and so forth and so on. We later made it into divinities. We later made it into angels because we didn't know what we were looking at. We later made it into some divine beings. These are all stories of non-human entities. And here you have, if you put the puzzle pieces together, right? Because we love to do that. We love to put the puzzle pieces together. If we put the puzzle pieces together, a picture begins to emerge. Many, many, many people from all studies, fields of science, have been saying the same thing, that there are entities here, there are beings here. They are far more advanced than us. They have already gone over. They love nuclear power plants, and they love going to where like the our nuclear warheads are, because a couple of times they shut down the nuclear warheads. They have the ability to shut down nuclear warheads. They have the ability to turn off our weaponry. Good. Because do we really want to be shooting off nuclear bombs? I don't think so. We didn't learn from the atomic bomb. We didn't learn. We didn't learn. Because humans, we need a lot of hard headed lessons. Like, who's a nuclear bomb? If it goes off, who's it going to be good for? The whole earth is going to be affected. It's mad, mutually assured destruction. Mutually assured destruction. Probably one nuke. We're all toasted, and the people that don't get toasted are going to have cancer, and we're going to have a rotten earth for about 500 years. Like, oh, people are going to go into the underground silos or wherever they're going to go into their little bunkers and things like that. But what was always fascinating to me about these bunkers that people build is, what if you're away from your bunker when it happens and you can't get to the bunker? So I've always wondered about that. How are you going to get to the bunker? Because apparently, I mean, it's nice to be prepared, and I like all the preparation people. That's great. Thinking ahead, great. What is the backup plan if you're nowhere near your bunker and everything hits? You might be on vacation in Jamaica. You a whole plane ride away from your bunker. What are you? I don't know. It's just a question I have of the bunker people. Anyway, those are my thoughts, and what I'm saying is that many different minds are converging on this. So we get to take it seriously. We get to not believe people like Neil deGrasse Tyson or people that just want to shoo it away, poo poo it away, without taking a deep dive and looking at the hard evidence in front of us, because it's scary, because it's new. Well, it's not new, it's been around forever. Because it makes us uncomfortable to meet up with beings we don't know anything about, and we already know that they're far more advanced than us, can do a whole lot more than us. Scary. It doesn't need to be scary. We can we can approach it with love. And we can step up, and just like Star Trek, we can be part of the Galactic Federation. Come on, let's get our little pins and put them on. Beam me up, Scotty. I'm ready for that. I'm ready to go get in the spaceships with some of these beings and go throughout the galaxy. Let's do it. Okay. I love you. I am Valerie Love. And remember, the book, The Real God Is Not in the Bible, is on Amazon right now. You can pick it up at Amazon, and it's ebook only. The hardcover, the paperback, many of you have been asking about the paperback and hardcover. The paperback and the hardcover are coming out in November on Kickstarter. So I will give you that info very soon. You'll have all that info about the Kickstarter campaign for the paperback and the hardcover. I'm so elated for this. We're coming down to the home stretch. You all have been helping me write this book. This book is probably one of the most game-changing books I've written outside of the Christian Witchcraft Starter Kit. And I love you. I love you. I love you. And I love, love, love your reviews. I love, love, love that you meet me here on Wednesday nights. I love, love, love that you miss me when I'm not here, and I miss you when I'm not here. And I just love that you're in this global conversation that we must have with all of humanity. I love that. So I'll see you next week. Peace.